You know that moment when everything seems to fall apart and the only thing you hear are words that cut more than a knife? Well, that's what happened to Donna Amelia, a humble lady with calloused hands and a full heart, when she was rejected by her own daughter Carla, and the worst part, after a lifetime of dedication. But what no one imagined is that this simple woman carried a secret that was worth more than gold, a hidden fortune of $2 million. Now let me ask you, how often do we judge someone by their appearance, their quiet demeanor, or their age? This story will make you rethink all that. There is no hero in a cape here, but there is a life lesson in every tear, in every ignored gesture, and most importantly, in every choice. Get ready to dive into a story of family rejection, lost respect, and silent redemption, and discover that sometimes the real treasure is not where everyone else is looking. You will laugh, you will be moved, and perhaps you will even reconsider some of your attitudes. Because when unconditional love meets ingratitude, what remains is the strength of those who, even when hurt, still choose to forgive. And who knows, transform pain into a legacy. Donna Amelia was the kind of mother you see and smell like warm cake and a tight hug. A widow. She raised Carla alone with the little she had, cleaning the yard, sewing other people's clothes, and smiling even when it hurt. But life is funny, isn't it? Sometimes the ones who give the most are the ones who get hit the most. And that's exactly what happened when, as an old woman, she heard from her daughter something that no mother deserves to hear. "You're good for nothing." Imagine the weight of those words. And they weren't said in a moment of anger, no. They were just cold, the kind of comments that hurt on purpose. Carla, now an adult, saw her mother's presence as a nuisance. Nothing was enough. Not the coffee she made, not the help with her grandson, much less Amelia's painful silence trying not to get in the way. It was humiliation after humiliation, and the saddest thing is that even so, Amelia remained firm there, only wanting to love. This kind of family rejection hurts deeply, because it's not just about not being welcome. It's about not being seen, not being heard, not being considered. Donna Amelia began to live like a shadow inside her own home, treated like dead weight by Carla and her son-in-law. But the soul can't bear everything in silence, and as the days passed, a silent abyss grew between mother and daughter, an abyss that, sooner or later, someone would fall into. Even amidst Carla's cutting coldness, there was a spark of warmth in Donna Amelia's heart. Her grandson, Samuel. The boy was her reason to smile on cloudy days. Between a story told on the couch and a piece of simple cake, they created bonds that neither time nor his mother's indifference could break. It was as if, in that boy with the curious look, Amelia found the reflection of the unconditional love she had always given. Samuel saw in her what the adults had forgotten: value. And look at the child you feel, you know. Samuel noticed everything, the way his grandmother was ignored, his mother's sidelong glance, the heavy silence that hung over him when Amelia entered the room. But he made up for it with small gestures. A tight hug, a whispered thank you, even a simple smile after lunch. For him, his grandmother was more than company. She was a safe haven. Her presence gave the house a soul. It was this bond with Samuel that kept Amelia strong for so long. Even though she was constantly humiliated, she insisted on staying, because she knew that there was a seed of empathy growing there. While Carla despised and Sandro ignored, Samuel welcomed her with his heart. And it was this affection, pure and genuine, that kept Amelia's dignity, even when the world seemed to say she was worthless. The day began like so many others. Donna Amelia in the kitchen, stirring the rice with that serene manner of someone who has done it 1,000 times. But inside, her heart was in ruins. It was as if each spoonful was an attempt to stay useful, alive, needed. In the living room, Carla was huffing and puffing, bothered even by the sound of the spoon hitting the pan. And that was when the rope broke. Came the explosion, the rudeness, the contempt, sharp words cutting like a knife. The last straw was a glass cup. It slipped from Amelia's hand and shattered on the floor, as if it represented all her fragility. The silence turned into a judgment. Carla exploded. She screamed, shouted, and ordered her mother to leave as if she were taking out the trash. Sandro nodded from the couch, indifferent. Samuel froze. And Donna Amelia, her face wet with shame, understood that it was time to go, even without knowing where to. She grabbed a suitcase with some clothes, put the bag on her shoulder, and left without saying anything. She didn't cry out loud. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't beg for love. She was pure dignity walking through the front door. The weight of family rejection seemed heavier than the weight of the suitcase on her shoulders. And even without knowing it, at that moment, Donna Amelia was taking the first step towards a new chapter, where respect would finally be the most valuable currency. The night was falling cold when Donna Amelia sat down on a park bench, alone, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. Life seemed to have turned its back on her. But that's where the beauty of surprises comes in. Donna Dalva, a neighbor with an easy smile and attentive eyes, appeared like a breath of humanity. Without thinking twice, she put down her bags, took her friend's hands and said, "You're coming with me." It was that simple. No judgment, no too many questions. In Dalva's humble but loving home, Amelia felt for the first time in years what it was like to be truly welcomed. A hot cup of tea, a soft sofa, and most importantly, an attentive ear. Dalva didn't want to hear about the past or guilt. She just wanted to offer company, human warmth, empathy. And in that silence between sips of tea and suppressed sobs, Amelia found something rare, a home that didn't need to be big to be welcoming. Dalva's attitude was not just an act of kindness, it was a lesson in practical empathy. How many times have we passed by someone who just needed a simple gesture, a look, a sincere question, an open door? Donna Amelia saw there that there was still room in the world for those who chose good, even without blood ties. And this small gesture lit a spark inside her, that maybe, just maybe, life could still surprise us. While drinking tea in Dalva's living room, Amelia finally revealed the secret she had been keeping for decades. She had quietly saved no less than $2 million. Dalva's reaction was one of pure astonishment, of course, but without judgment. Why so much secrecy, you might ask? The truth is that Donna Amelia never trusted her daughter to understand the value behind that money. For her, that amount was more than just bills. It was a purpose. Throughout her life, Amelia sewed clothes, cleaned yards, and did a bit of everything. She always saved every penny like someone who plants hope. She inherited something from her father, multiplied it with sacrifice, but never told anyone. Why? Because she knew respect can't be bought. It has to be earned. And if she had a plan with that money, it was clear that it wasn't for Carla or Sandro. It was for someone who knew how to see the value of a good soul. This revelation changed everything, not only because it was a fortune, but because it showed who Donna Amelia really was. She could have hidden behind humility, but her greatness was there, silent, planned. And at that moment, between tears and the relief of sharing the secret, she made a decision. To use that true wealth, not to take revenge on her daughter, but to leave a legacy that would begin with gratitude. Gratitude is one of those words that we say a lot but don't feel much. Donna Amelia, however, made a point of feeling it and acting on it. After everything she had been through, she chose to repay Dalva's gesture with what she had most precious: recognition. She helped her neighbor with repairs to the house, with her husband's medicines, and even with the overdue bills. Not as charity, but as if to say, "You saw me when no one else wanted to." And that, to her, was worth more than gold. But Amelia knew she also needed to start over. That's why she moved to a nursing home, a simple but respectful place. There no one treated her like a burden. She was called by name, invited to talk, even praised for the stories she told. And that, my friend, is the kind of care that no amount of money can buy. For the first time in a long time, she felt alive. Not just alive, she belonged. This new beginning was silent but powerful. While Carla tried to ignore the void her mother had left, Amelia flourished in an environment where respect was the rule. She planted flowers, made coffee, and little by little she began to understand that even after so much humiliation, life could still be sweet. And that's where the magic lies. When you return with love what you received with contempt, the world responds. Sometimes even in the form of peace in your heart. Donna Amelia didn't want applause, much less the spotlight. That's why her donation to the nursing home was made without fanfare, a truly anonymous donation. No one knew the exact amount, but the changes spoke for themselves. Painted walls, renovated rooms, a new garden sprouting right where before there had only been oblivion. Her money had turned into shared dignity. And look at the beautiful irony. The place that welcomed her was now flourishing with her generosity. The most incredible thing is that she didn't expect anything in return. She didn't want a plaque with her name on it, or a mention in the newspaper. She just wanted to give back to life a little of what she had learned from her pain. She transformed material wealth into emotional comfort, and that is true wealth. The home became a reference. The elderly smiled more, and the caregivers began to work more lightly, all because a woman who was scorned chose to give, not to seek revenge. And this gesture teaches more than many speeches out there. Because giving when you are rich is easy, what is difficult is maintaining a generous heart after having been humiliated. Amelia showed that respect is the noblest legacy someone can leave. And in that home, each renovated corner told a little piece of her story, a story of redemption that instead of crying out for justice, whispered, "It is still worth believing in good." Amidst so much pain and new beginnings, there was one certainty in Donna Amelia's heart. Samuel deserved more. And not just more things, more values, more example, more direction. That's why she decided that the greatest gift she would leave her grandson was not just the money, but the teaching of how to use it. He would only be able to access the $2 million when he turned 18. Until then, he should grow up learning what really matters, respect and character. She sat down with the boy, looked him in the eye, and said, "Money is just paper, Samuel. What matters is what you do with it." Simple words, but they echo like a legacy of wisdom. Amelia didn't want to raise a rich young man, she wanted to raise a real man. And that kind of legacy isn't built with an allowance, but with example, with the kind of unconditional love that resists even family rejection. The two of them spending time together in their garden became a sacred ritual. No rush, no demands, just silent teaching, in every conversation, in every drawing, in every hug. Samuel absorbed everything like a sponge, and Amelia smiled inside because she knew that, even though she had been thrown out by her daughter, she was planting the future of someone who truly deserved her love. An invisible but powerful legacy, made of empathy, dignity, and purpose. When whispers began to circulate around the neighborhood about the $1 million donation, Carla couldn't believe it. My mother? That old seamstress? But all she had to do was connect the dots, the renovated home, the rumors, her son's behavior, and it all began to sink in. And her heart froze. The woman she had treated like a nuisance was hiding a fortune. Not just any inheritance, but a chance to rewrite everything. Too late. Driven by desperation and perhaps wounded pride, Carla went to the nursing home. She found Amelia serene, with a book on her lap, and Samuel by her side. She tried to justify, confront, even demand. But Amelia, firm and calm, cut her off like a razor. What belongs to the family is respect, and you have lost that. That was it. These words were enough for Carla to understand that no amount of money in the world can buy dignity, much less unconditional love. She left there just as Amelia had entered that day of her expulsion, carrying the weight of contempt. Only now the contempt came from her own conscience. The humiliation she had caused came back like an echo. Samuel remained by his grandmother's side, in silence, as if choosing who to stay with without saying a single word. And Carla? She felt firsthand what it means to lose someone not through death, but through lack of respect. And there was no time to go back. life sometimes writes its most beautiful endings between the lines of simplicity. At the nursing home, Donna Amelia found more than shelter. She found purpose. She spent her days teaching, sewing, telling stories, planting flowers, and each smile she received in return was an invisible medal, the kind we carry in our hearts. Because there, she was more than just an elderly woman. She was a living example of resilience, respect, and empathy. As the months passed, Samuel visited frequently. He brought drawings, smiles, and the sincere presence of those he loves, without asking for anything in return. On one of these visits, he heard another of his grandmother's lessons. The greatest inheritance is not money, my son. It is the way you treat those who love you. Words that were engraved in the boy's heart, like a promise for life. And while the garden swing creaked softly, the world seemed right there. Carla, on the other side of the story, faced sleepless nights and noisy silences. She discovered that the greatest wealth she had lost was not in safes, but in the hug she refused, in the thank you she never gave. And Amelia, she walked in peace, without resentment, without bitterness, only with the certainty that she had left the world a little better than she had found it. Because in the end, the true legacy is not measured in dollars, but in the love that we spread wherever we go. Have you ever stopped to think about how many Donna Amelias there are around you? Simple, silent people who just want to be seen with a little respect. Maybe it's your grandmother, your mother, a neighbor, or even yourself. The truth is that we all carry stories, and often the greatest treasures are kept in the people who have been most despised. What would you do differently if you knew that the person you ignored was hiding not a fortune in money, but a giant heart? How is the way you treat those who love you for free? Life is fast, and sometimes, when the penny drops, it's already too late. How about taking advantage of today to appreciate those who deserve it? Give a tight hug, listen without judging, or simply say thank you. If this story touched you, how about spreading this message? Like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more stories that touch the soul. In the comments, tell me, have you ever met someone who was undervalued but showed a value that no one imagined? I would love to.